Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions? You read the news, you're totally aware of the world's problems, but you feel fundamentally stagnant, just kind of unsure of how to actually make a real dent in the universe? Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to dive into a truly profound August 2023 contemplation written by Oluyomi Oladavid. It's this fascinating, tightly woven piece of writing that takes personal faith, professional diligence, and a deeply rooted passion for global development and just merges them into one cohesive framework. I'm honestly so excited to walk you through her material today because, honestly, it's the ultimate antidote to feeling stuck. So let's peel back the layers of her philosophy and see how it might just completely shift the way we operate. Okay, let's jump right into the hook here. The title itself, Awake is Grateful. What does it actually mean for her to be awake when it comes to global development, policy, and her own personal faith? Because usually when we talk about being awake to the world, it just means having your eyes open, right? Maybe it's doom scrolling through the news over your morning coffee, being passively aware of all the chaos, or just feeling empathy from a safe distance. But as we're going to see, her framework entirely rejects that kind of passive consciousness. For her, being awake is a highly active, driving state of being. Basically, if you are awake, you are propelled to act, no exceptions. But to answer that question fully, we've got to take a look at the author herself, Oluyomi Oladavid, because, let's be real, philosophies are only as powerful as the people who are actually out there living them in the real world. And she isn't just theorizing from some ivory tower. She brings a totally unique, purpose-driven perspective to her insights, and it is firmly grounded in real-world application. Understanding exactly who she is, what drives her, and her boots-on-the-ground credibility, that's the master key to unlocking the true meaning behind her poetic words. She roots her entire worldview in this one profound statement of identity. She says, I am a Nigerian, and I love people. I am concerned about global development and transformation. I mean, just think about the contrast there for a second. She roots her identity locally, as a proud Nigerian, but her ambition scales globally to encompass worldwide transformation. That dual perspective is just incredibly powerful. She isn't only looking at her immediate surroundings, but she also isn't detached from the everyday people she wants to help on a massive, macro scale. Her drive stems directly from a deeply inherent care for humanity. She's grounding this fierce commitment to sweeping societal progress in a genuine, real love for the individual. And here is where she connects that passion for people with tangible, real-world actions. She doesn't just want to observe the world, she wants to actively shape it. Think about what this actually looks like in practice. It means sitting in a boardroom, staring down a ridiculously complex logistical problem or a broken community initiative, and being the one who maps out the pathway forward. By generating solutions, influencing high-level policy and strategy, and cutting through all the noise to provide absolute clarity, she translates a deeply empathetic stance into highly practical impact. So this brings us to the first massive pillar of her poem, the absolute necessity of motion. She kicks things off with this bold declaration that awake is in motion. Think about this almost like the laws of physics. We've all had those moments where we realize a problem exists, right? Maybe in our careers, our neighborhoods, or even our own daily habits. But then we do nothing about it? We stay in a resting state. Well, Oluyomi is telling us that true awareness fundamentally forces us out of that resting state. For her, awareness without action is entirely incomplete. Literally, to be awake is to be moving. She actually expands on this beautiful physics metaphor by identifying other critical states of mind that she believes must remain constantly active to be effective. She outlines 5 distinct states: awake, focus, learning, faith, and gratitude, all in motion. Think about how radical it is to put all of these things in motion. I mean, we usually think of learning as quietly sitting at a desk, right? Or focus as just staring really hard at a computer screen. And gratitude? We normally treat gratitude as a warm, fuzzy, passive feeling we get after someone does something nice for us. But she argues no, none of these should be passive. To her, every single one of these states is a dynamic, active process that demands constant forward momentum. So the really crucial point here is how she visualizes this constant motion through the repetition of the right hand. Notice the powerful verb she pairs it with: works, powers, reasons, obeys, upholds. Let's unpack that symbolism for a second. Historically and biblically, the right hand symbolizes strength, authority, and decisive action. It is the hand of execution. Her active right hand isn't just moving aimlessly, flailing around trying to look busy. It's executing a deliberate, thoughtful strategy. It reasons through a problem, it obeys a higher calling, and it upholds those around it. It is intentionality and strength moving in perfect sync. Let's pivot. and see how this builds into real-world application with a really powerful statement on economic and personal growth. Diligence grows the market. Here, she seamlessly bridges the gap between poetic reflection and hard-nosed economic reality. And it's a radically universal idea. Whether you're building a small local business, managing a corporate team, or working in global policy, diligence is the universal currency that actually moves the needle. Consistent, focused effort is the true engine of progress. It is not just about having a brilliant idea, it's about the daily, relentless grind of actually making that idea a reality. And she brilliantly gives us a highly practical, step-by-step blueprint for this transformation. Let's walk through this progression kind of like a story. Step 1 requires that active skill develops. This is the quiet work. This is you practicing your craft in the dark, learning the ropes when literally no one is watching. Then, step 2 happens when the right hand powers the initiative. This is where you choose to take that developed skill and power it with decisive action. You step into the arena. And finally, step 3 results in that applied diligence actively growing the market. The world reacts to your effort. It's just a beautifully structured chain reaction for success. She applies this logic directly to the business world, emphasizing her belief that in startups, prudence and active labor are essential components of success. It's a fantastic reminder that while vision and strategy are totally vital, it is the calculated, hard work, the active labor, that ultimately makes the difference on the ground. But challenge yourself to view this beyond just corporate startups. Think about your own new initiatives, your new daily habits, or that personal side project you've been putting off forever. Treat them as your own personal startups. They require that exact same prudence and active labor to survive and thrive. Now we reach a really pivotal transition in her contemplation. Her strategy isn't just corporate, it's deeply personal and spiritual, leading us to her declaration that faith is in motion. For Oluyomi, there is absolutely zero separation between her professional drive and her spiritual walk. The exact same engine that powers her career ambitions powers her faith. Just like her approach to learning or focus, her spiritual life is not some stagnant pond. It is a rushing river, an active, driving force that propels her forward in every single thing she does. This directly ties back to her biography, where she grounds her ultimate foundation, strategy, and perspective in her faith. She writes, "My Father God owns and rules the universe." Her faith provides the overarching context for her drive to generate solutions and transform the world. But think about what viewing God as the ultimate owner of the universe actually does for her on a practical level. It removes the crushing pressure of global transformation from her own shoulders. It means she can work diligently, she can push for massive change, all without burning out, because she knows the ultimate outcome rests in hands much larger than her own. It's her ultimate anchor. Which brings us full circle to the title and the absolute core theme of her piece. Gratitude is in motion. And guys, this is a massive paradigm shift. Like we talked about earlier, being thankful isn't just a fleeting thought you have while sitting quietly on your couch. It's an action you take. It's the right hand upholding others. If you are truly grateful for your skills, your resources, or your opportunities, that gratitude has to inevitably spill over into service. True gratitude is constantly in motion, always looking for practical ways to impact the world. Yet right in the middle of all this talk about diligence and active labor, she pens this incredibly beautiful poetic line, "Mercy drops sustain oasis." It is such a profound recognition of the balance between human effort and divine providence. On one hand, you have the diligent, reasoning right hand putting in the grueling work. On the other hand, you have the sheer grace of these mercy drops. It tells us that while our hands have to work and reason and power the wheel, there are larger, sustaining forces of grace at play that keep the environment thriving, preventing our hard-earned oasis of progress from just drying up and turning back into a desert. As her poem wraps up with the ticking of the active watch, we are left to really reflect on her insights and ask ourselves a vital question. Time is moving, and so must we. The profound lesson here is that being awake to the world requires us to step out of our resting state once and for all. So, how are you actively applying diligence and gratitude in motion in your own life today? Don't let your gratitude just be a silent thought. Challenge yourself to let it take physical form. Let your right hand go to work. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope breaking down Oluyomi Ola David's framework empowers you to keep your own active watch ticking with true purpose.